our 5 biggest mistakes as new homesteaders. And maybe you can avoid them. You'll get to make your own brand new mistakes. So we have 5 children. We are homeschoolers. We homeschooled them from the beginning. I'm Suzanne Ghost. My husband is Brad. We own Flip Flop Spanish and Spanish Geniuses, and we happen to also live on a homestead. So our 5 biggest mistakes as new homesteaders. So if you have already bought your homestead, some of this won't apply. So sorry. So if you've already bought the farm, some of this you can't fix. But maybe. Sorry. If you haven't and you're just shopping, this will help you. Okay, so this is mistake number 1. I don't know about you, but goats were my thing. Like, I was so excited. I got chickens. We had an 1.5 acres, kind of just outside of the city limits, and I got chickens. And I found out, oh my goodness, I love this. I love this idea of being self-reliant. I love chickens. Look at my background, I'm a crazy chicken lady. So, my lamp, my goodness. Anyhow, love chickens. So this is the advice we ignored. As soon as we got the 15 acres and the pond, and we have 1 really terrible barn and 2 semi-awful log homes. And people told us, so we visited other places, and they told us, don't grow your farm too quickly. Like, get used to one thing at a time. But you're so excited! And so we ignored it. So we moved in June of 2015, and right there, that picture with the goats and my 2 boys, which you'll meet in another seminar. If you watch that other seminar, you get to meet them a little bit. That's Cream and Sugar, very original, I know, our goats. And it was less than a month. We moved in June 10th. That is dated from July 9th. That's crazy. We had so much to do. That was ridiculous. We should have had the fencing first. We did have like a fence, but it wasn't a goat fence. So if you know goats get out. Like, you build a fence, they get out, and then you find out how to build a fence that goats can't get out. So we should have done the fencing first. We didn't have enough space for them. We did for the 2. But our goats are really smart. So that's something else. Like, if you go and find a Nubian goat farm or Nigerian dwarf goat farm, they might not be as smart as like the mutts that we got. So just because some fences keep in their goats, that doesn't mean it's going to keep in your goats. With kidding season, a lot of baby goats are being born, and there's a lot that can go wrong. So we did start with the babies, the little young ones, and that was good, but they could get out more easily, and there was no mamas to kind of teach them and keep them in. We did visit lots of goat farms. We visited just friends that had goats. We hung out with them a lot, asked lots of questions, read all the books. The stories guides, those are great. And then all the dummies books, Goats for Dummies, Chickens for Dummies, those are great books. You need to make sure you have your fencing first. Have somebody that has goats come to your farm and check out your fencing before you put your goats in there. There could be something in there that can hurt them. Your goats will probably have a hard time anyhow because they're not used to your soil, so you can get worms. There's all kinds of stuff. So we should have waited on the goats. We should have just moved in and fixed things. Just fix things. Don't add any animals. But look, we added bees that same summer. We added so much stuff. And look in that top picture with Mitch has got a turkey. One of our turkeys died on the way because we should have butchered her. She was not Rio Grande. She was a meat turkey, and so her heart gave out. That was awful. And then we got all kinds of exotic breeds for chickens because I had all this space now. It's a bad idea. Lots of problems, lots of heartaches I could have avoided if I just waited till the next spring to add animals, but I didn't. All right, mistake number 2. Oh my goodness. So you're so excited about being self-reliant. And you're like, okay, I got chickens, I'm getting my eggs, and I only eat the chickens whenever I have too many roosters. What if I get meat chickens? Okay, that's cool. Get meat chickens, but only get 5 or 6. Because, first of all, they're not fun. They're not like regular chickens. They're not like egg chickens. They don't have a personality. They grow very quickly. So if you get the white broilers, they grow in 6 weeks. It's crazy. The black broilers, which I got, was 12 weeks, but it's still too fast. They have no personality. They're really actually dumber than even your average chicken, which is crazy. And then they all have to be slaughtered. They're going to die. You can't just say, oh, well, I'll just let them live their life out. No, they'll have heart attacks, or their knees will go out and they'll be miserable, or they won't be able to get around because they eat so much. It's terrible. They don't know how to clean themselves. I have 50 meat chickens. and I gave away, or I sold 20 of them, and I kept 30. And I thought, that's cool. That means just 6 days, I'll slaughter 5 each day, right? I've got 5 kids, and I'll help the littlest one. So the littlest one and I will butcher one of them, and then the other 4 kids will butcher one, and we'll just do that 6 days in a row. It's exhausting. So just get a few of them. We ended up skinning them rather than plucking out the feathers, because that was a whole other process. You need to know the process. I would go to somebody's house and learn how to butcher chickens before you get meat chickens. And they don't save money. They're not that, like, it's not that economical, especially when you consider the time, because they eat so much. So you can't let them free range because they're dumb. It's not a good idea for me. You have to do it on a large scale for it to be profitable for you. And then on a large scale, you have to butcher them. It's not fun. And then they die easily. I already said that because they're dumb. And then after you butcher them, you have to have freezer space, and you have to have good freezer bags to like make them last. And guess what? Freezer bags are super expensive. So there goes more economy. Like if you're doing it for the organic stuff, okay. But you know what? Just buy the organic the chicken. We did it so that we know how to do it. We've done it now, but I'm sticking with just grow my chickens, and whenever I get some aggressive males, if I get too many males, because you know half of the chicks that hatch are all males, so I just grow them up and then go ahead and butcher them when they're a little bit small, grow them out a little bit more. So my recommendation is if you do meat chickens, don't do too many at once. So the property came with a tractor. Yay! It kind of sort of worked, and my husband can fix literally anything, but it didn't stay working, and it didn't have like helpful attachments. So we thought we would be able to use it. Soil was too soft. We have sandy loam. So check it out. Like if you have a tractor that comes with your land, just check out the wheels, check out what it can do, how much can it pull. Again, just visit somebody else that has a homestead, that has a tractor, and that uses it. We needed it for tilling. I ended up buying a little tiller, which it's great, but sure would be nice to use this giant tractor that I have that's just sitting there. For grading, like if you have a driveway that needs to be graded and it gets lumpy inside, you know, you want a box blade. We don't have a box blade. We have a giant tractor, but we don't have the right attachment, and it doesn't make sense to buy the attachment because it costs more than the tractor does, and it doesn't work that well. For mowing, man, it would be so nice, but we just got a little riding lawnmower, and so you know you can find those pretty easily for very cheap if they're broken, and then if you have a handy hubby like me, then he can just fix it. My boys could fix it too, so we use the riding lawnmower for that. Brush hogging. So we were trying to, our place was very overgrown. I think most of us, at least down here in Texas, if you buy a homestead and you're trying to get a lot of land, then the land is fairly unimproved. So we, chopped down a lot of trees and got goats. That's another reason we got the goats, was to clear it out. But then you have to brush hog it to make that land actually grow up into grass and be more usable. Like we were thinking of doing cattle. Well, we need more grass, more coastal hay to do that. So the brush hog did work on the tractor when it did work. It's just very difficult to keep it running, and it just wasn't as a good investment. Your car can't get everywhere, even if it's a Jeep. We do have a little gator, like a little 6-wheeled gator thing, but it doesn't have the hauling power that the tractor has. So when you're hauling like the big coop or big logs around, or you're trying to pull down a tree, that would have been really nice. So what we ended up doing is borrowing a tractor from friends, which is fine. So that's one of the tips, is make friends. That's not a mistake we made. We had friends that had a homestead not too far away, about 30 minutes away, and we traded helping each other out on our different property with different projects. And then trenching. To get water to different places, you don't want to be hauling hoses and things like that. You want to trench. So if you have a tractor with the right attachment, you can just trench that line real easily. Again, you can rent it, and I would say if you have the money, then that's worth it. If you have the boys, that's what we ended up doing, is getting our boys to trench everything, and they just made a lot of muscles. Ugh, this one's sad. All right, so you know how you move way out in the middle of nowhere and you think, I'm nice, I'll get along with everybody. Not everybody wants to get along. And I didn't even ask anybody. I didn't go to the gas station and ask questions. I didn't ask at the church. I didn't ask anybody anything. I thought 15 acres in the middle of nowhere down this dirt road, it'll be fine. the truth is you can't actually live all the way alone. Like, even if you want to and you want to keep to yourself and you're not bothering anybody and you don't have loud dogs and you're not having crazy parties and you're like super quiet and just keep to yourself, people still talk. Like, they make stuff up. So it turns out, I don't want to tell you all that stuff. Turns out there's some bad stuff on our road. And I just wish we had asked. I don't know if we still would have bought. We probably would have, but it would have been nice to know. So ask around. Check out the schools, even if you're a homeschooler. I did end up going up and substituting just because we needed the money. And I was a public school teacher before and I know how to do it. So I just went and substituted at the local schools. And so that helped. But I learned a lot that year, those couple of years. Check out the churches, visit the churches. You're just doing recon. So find out as much as you can, ask really open-ended questions, and let people gossip. You just don't know the bad blood in these old communities, and one way or another, you're going to be on a side, even if you don't want to be on a side and you just want to live out here and keep to yourself and be self-reliant. Just check it out. So at least you know the problems you're getting into, because there's, when there's people, there's problems. It's just messy. Get the gossip, go into the local gas station, find the old men, find the bakery, find the coffee shop, and just sit. People love to talk. Just ask a few questions, tell them you're thinking about moving in, see what happens. Whenever you buy the place, find out, like, get your realtor to do some recon for you. So our place was being sold because the grandpa died, but the granddaughter was not happy that grandpa, or that the family, she didn't have any say. Anyhow, the family was selling and she was not happy about it. Oh, visit in the nighttime as well. So when you're shopping, drive around in the nighttime and come out and sit in your driveway or your potential driveway. Ask the realtor if you can sit on the front porch. Can you go to the backyard at night? Neighbors are weird. And people act different, and the place looks different and sounds different during the day and during the night. This is a huge investment, right? This is likely, like, this is not just buying a house. Oh, we can move in a year if we don't like it. It's not like that. You're putting blood, sweat, and tears into your homestead. So definitely visit before, like in different times of the day before you buy. Okay, last mistake. We did not think about the timing of the place. So the pictures there, you're seeing me fix a thing in our bathroom. That was so gross. There's all kinds of stuff that you have to do when you move in. And again, we should have known better. I mean, I know it was 7 years ago, and look how cute our little kids were. They were so little, but we should have waited. So we moved in this summer, and we should have done nothing that summer and that fall. So we moved in June, and then there was a lot to fix. It had been just completely overgrown. There's deferred maintenance all over the place. But instead of really taking our time and fixing it, we were just so excited about having our homestead and growing our farm and getting the goats, and we didn't want to wait a whole year. But you can find like anything on Craigslist. You can find the goats in the spring. You can find it when you need it. You can just visit and do recon and do learning on the go. Like, time is not that big of a thief. But instead of waiting and just really fixing up that barn, getting the fencing, maybe saving money that I wanted to spend on new exotic breeds, buy a new tractor or a newer tractor or something, get it refurbished, something. But instead we added goats, chicks, a fall garden, an incubator, a gigantic like commercial incubator. And then because my husband was laid off right at that same time, right after we moved, we ended up doing Rent the Chicken, which is great. The age of your children. If you're a brand new homesteader, like we were city slickers, we grew up in Houston. We went to high school in Houston. Neither one of us have farming families. Like, my parents were like, you have a college degree. Why are you hatching chickens? They were not pleased with this choice. But we wanted to be self-reliant, and we wanted our kids to have a different life than we did. We didn't want concrete. We wanted, grass and land and dirt and sky and quiet. So that's what we did. And the cool thing was our baby was 7. If you have toddlers and you're a new homesteader, or if you're pregnant and you're a new homesteader, I would recommend waiting until they're bigger, because it's just so much. You really do need your kids to help. Now, if you have it in, you have it up the line, you've been doing homesteading, or your parents have, or your grandparents or something. Like you're just, this is no big deal. You hatch chickens, you know that you don't need roosters to get eggs. You've been around, you've milked something before. Like it's normal for you to visit your grandparents' farm. Okay, fine, have babies and homestead. But if you're brand new, like we were, maybe wait till they're a little bit bigger. So that first time the well broke, so we were without water. We had to buy a new pump thing. It was bad. The septic backed up. The septic actually was put in backwards. There was just so much that was poorly built in this place that you don't know until you move in. And of course it's as is and you get a great deal. So lots of bad stuff. Our sink never drained. There was just so much stuff that was wrong until my husband had to fix it. And when you have a full-time job, which praise the Lord, he got laid off. So he had time to fix all these things. It was just a wild ride. So some of it's unavoidable, right? Like, okay, your husband gets laid off. Your septic's put in backwards. You can't avoid those things, but some of it you can, and that's what I'm here to help you with. So as you are looking to buy your homestead, or maybe you've already moved to your homestead, I hope those ideas, those 5 mistakes are avoidable for you. Like just slow down. If you can be patient and get one new animal at a time, and maybe space it out to like a month at a time. Don't go get the horse, the cow, the pig, and the goats all at once. Just take your time. There's no reason to rush, and you will enjoy it more because you won't be overwhelmed. And so all those things will become second nature, and the kids will learn a little bit better from it. The meat chicken idea, again, it's a cool experience, but for us, it was not worth the amount of effort that went into that. Have a tractor, that's kind of basic, and then check with your neighbors, check out your neighbors. Hopefully you have good ones. We were unfortunate. There's just a culture here that's not super great, not super welcoming to newcomers. No matter how many eggs you give, how many brownies you bake, no matter. I mean, we've done literally nothing to anybody, and it's been rough. It's just a rough culture that you just don't know about till you find out about it. There's just kind of old blood somehow, and I don't know, people make up their minds. It's so weird. So that's a big one. And then of course think about timing. What time of the year are you moving? And maybe wait a season before you jump in. And how old are your children? Can they help? Because they're going to need to help. The great news about it is if they're really young or really old, it's a great method of homeschooling. You don't have to worry about science. You don't have to worry about, like you see in my other seminar, about what the kids think about homesteading after now that they're grown. What are their memories? What are their perks? What do they think was good or bad about it? So if I can help you with anything, chickens, that's my forte. Goats, I'm pretty good with. Not as experienced with the goats. I mean, they're great, but I don't know them inside and out. They're pretty self-sufficient. They're easier than chickens in some way. And then, of course, Spanish. So flip-flop Spanish or any kind of language learning obstacles, I'm your girl. All right, hope this helps. So we became the enemy. I mean, people who got married in our front lawn were mad at us. They got married however many years ago. They want to come and have their anniversary in our front lawn. Well, like we don't, what? I mean, there are like burial cemeteries in the back next to the pond that they had to like move the people. Just find out why people are buying and selling. Okay, we'll leave it at that.